An exciting morning to return to talk about sports developments all across the globe. Good morning and welcome to Sports Central. It is live on Spectrum Television and I am Mutabe David, returning on the day where two Nigerian national teams will be playing in different competition. Quite a critical and consequential battle for both teams. First is in the ongoing Under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup, while the other is the current WAFCON qualifiers that is scheduled in Abeokuta much later today. We'll take a look at those two national teams, what to expect going even further. We'll also look at other sports. The basketball scene is still up and running with games that were lined up in the early hours of this morning. Some top franchises are still losing their guns. You talk about LA Lakers and the rest of others. We'll also look at the world of tennis this morning. Looks like the Paris Masters event is currently up and running, and top-seeded players are still doing something remarkable and looking forward to gather momentum ahead of the ATP finals. We'll talk about all of these in fine details. The FA Cup returns today as well, and we'll look at what to expect in all of those fixtures. But first of all, before we extensively look at all of these stories, let's bring you up to speed with big developments making rounds in the exciting world of sports. Welcome to the show. The conversation starts from a world of tennis where Grigor Dimitrov has gone from devastation to delight by returning from his heartbreaking pectoral injury at Wimbledon with a stylish victory at the Rolex Paris Masters yesterday. While the last time the Bulgarian competed, he led eventual champion Yannick Sinner by 2 sets to love behind a masterful performance on the London lawns before the injury forced a tearful retirement in the 4th round. Back in action on the indoor hard courts of Paris, the 34-year-old picked up where he left off with a 7-6, 6-1 win against home favourite Giovanni Mpeci Pericat. The 2023 Paris finalist served all 3 break points he faced and broke the big serving Frenchman 3 times in a dominant second set. Now on 25 wins and 12 losses at the ATP Masters 1000 event. Dimitrov trails only Novak Djokovic, who has 50, Boris Becker, who have 29, and Thomas Bendit, who have 27 for most wins at the tournament. He will next face either 11th seed Daniil Medvedev or Joan Moner next. To the WTA scene, this time last year, neither of last week's champion on the WTA Tour were ranked inside the top 100. But Belinda Bencic and Ann Lee have capped impressive comeback seasons with late-year titles. Bencic winning the WTA 500 in Tokyo and Lee taking the WTA 250 in Guangzhou. 12 months ago, Belinda Bencic was unranked and embarking on her comeback from maternity leave. The Tokyo title, a second at WTA 500 level event this year, has pumped her up another 2 places from number 13 to number 11 after getting as high as number 44 in January 2022. Lee slumped as low as 229th in April 2023. The American's quiet improvement has been one of the unsung stories of 2025. After 3 runners-up finishes in the past 12 months, Merida at the end of 2024, followed by Singapore and Cleveland this year. The 25-year-old finally got her hands on a second career WTA titles with an impressive run in Guangzhou. Lee, who also made the 4th round of a major for the first time at the US Open, jumps 11 places from number 44 to a new career high of number 33. Away from that, Nigeria's Green Falcons suffered a tough defeat in the final of the Women's World Series 2025 falling 62-4 to rugby powerhouse Fiji on Sunday. Despite the heavy loss, it was a memorable outing for the Nigerian side, who defied expectations to reach the final of the global event. Facing the world's best rugby nation proved to be a valuable learning experience for the young team. The Fijians showed their class and dominance from the start, combining speed, strength and tactical brilliance to overwhelm the Falcons. Nigeria's lone try was met with loud cheers, symbolizing their fighting spirit and determination despite the odds. Team officials praised the players' courage and progress throughout the tournament, emphasizing that competing against elite sides like Fiji will only help accelerate the development of women's rugby in Nigeria. To the basketball scene, where Afeni Siemens made 6-pointers and scored 25 points, and the Boston Celtics earned their first victory over the season by pulling away to beat the New Orleans Pelicans 122-90 on Monday night. Peyton Pritchard added 18 points for the Celtics, who outscored the Pelicans 31-4 in the final 9-14 after they led by just 5. Siemens scored 12 in the fourth quarter for Boston, which had dropped its first 3 games. Luka Garza had 16 points, while Jalen Brown and Josh Minott finished with 15 apiece. Jordan Poole scored 22 points for the Pelicans, who played without Zion Williamson and fell to 0-3. Rocky Derrick Queens had 12 points. Williamson missed his first game of the season with a left foot bone bruise. He had scored 27 points in both of the first 2 games. Well, finally, from the world of football, Brendan Rodgers has resigned as Celtic manager, with the Scottish Giants' major shareholder accusing him of divisive, misleading and self-serving behavior. Former boss Martin O'Neill, who is 73, and ex-player Sean Maloney will take charge until a permanent successor is appointed. Rodgers' second spell at Celtic ended after Sunday's 3-1 Scottish Premiership defeat at Hearts left them 8 points adrift of Edinburgh side in second. The club added that the search for a replacement was already underway, with former manager Ange Postecoglou among the bookmakers' favourites following his recent sacking by Nottingham Forest. That's all we have in Sports Wrap-Up at this time. We'll take a very short breather, and when we return, we'll have an extensive conversation with the guys also joining the show. Do stay with us.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to another exciting time. We talk about a beautiful game of sports at a Sports Central. My name is Blyden Kim. We're going to have Infonitina seated with me and ready for the talking point in this one are the driving factors that cause the enabling indices in the world of sports. Part of the conversation would be the 1000 Masters in Paris. It seemed to be the final 1000 Masters of the year in the world of tennis. And similarly, we'll look at the Hong Kong Open before you get to talk about football stories. Lots of injuries, the likes of Danny Carvajal being injured in that direction, and postulation of what happened, the posts El Clasico event, it would be what to talk about. Formula One wouldn't miss out of the plate, and we'll also get to talk about the NBA and also a Nigerian side in the World Series based on the world of rugby. They got to the finals against Fiji, but lost and couldn't qualify for the World Series. It would be a thick conversation today. Well, Timber David, good morning. So good to have you be part of the show today.
An absolute delight to returning on a day where the Super Falcons are looking to finish the job. They started last week against Benin Republic and the WAFCON qualifiers. So it looks like might just be a quick and an easy game for them. 2-goal advantage already. Just get the job for Justin Madugu today.
All right, talking about getting the job, Fanitina, so good to see you today. Trusting you'll get the job done today too.
Well, definitely. I think for my main concerns about the NBA season already started. 4 games played for some teams. The Oklahoma City Thunder, defending champions, have already won 4 straight games. But on the other hand, the Boston Celtics just got their first win of the season yesterday. Maybe a sign of good things to come, or maybe it's going to be a topsy-turvy season for the Celtics.
A topsy-turvy season for the Celtics. Fanitina, speaking about it, but quickly let's go to the thick of a conversation. We'll begin a conversation from the world of rugby. And rugby, here we go. Let's talk about it from a Nigerian point of view. It's getting further exciting. We're getting to the World Series in the world of rugby. What's the Women's World Series 2025? And Fiji had to outclass Team Nigeria, the Green Falcons of Nigeria, in that regard. 62-4 to the rugby powerhouse Fiji, and the game took place on Sunday. And well, despite the heavy losses, there are many positives because not many people thought Nigeria would get to that point of getting to the finals, but somehow I finally got, and it's something to build on. Well, before we get to talk about in-house about a conversation, my guest gets to join the conversation. Well, no other a person than Mr. Intense Williams, popularly known as Mr. Rugby. Well, when you talk about rugby development in this country, it's all started with this man, Intense Williams. Mr. Rugby, good morning. So good to have you be part of the show.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Fantastic, always fantastic to have you. Let's get straight to the thick of the conversation. Well, I know you were really talking about the Green Falcons and the possibilities that comes with that game, and we're so excited after seeing them get the victory over top sides during the World Series qualifications. But getting to the final against Fiji, Fiji, if not the best nation in the world in world rugby, especially in World Series, one of the best to think of, and they outclass Team Nigeria, the Green Falcons, in that direction. 6-2-4. Our question would be, many people have said, well, not about outing for them. I don't know where your position is, because it could have been a first of its kind for Team Nigeria to be at the World Cup.
Well, I think first and foremost, we should be congratulating our girls, the Green Falcons, for the feats to which they have achieved of getting into the finals of the World Series and just missing out on the World Cup on their first appearance on that international level. Fiji has been trying for a long time to get onto the Rugby League World Cup, and they've not been able to. Now, this is the first time that they're achieving that, and they've come a long way. For us to be able to beat the likes of Ghana, Kenya, Ireland, and in the series in Canada, the host actually came third, and we actually came second. I think that is a milestone in terms of the history of rugby in Nigeria, and not just rugby league, but also rugby union, American football, basically all the oval games in Nigeria. None has ever gotten to this stage on the international rugby.
question would be, how do we get to build on it, and what's the postulation probably to the next tournament to improve from where we are now? What do we need to do to improve from where we are getting to the finals of this series, and possibly maybe next time out qualifying for the World Cup itself, the World League?
Yeah, the rugby league, as you know, is different from the rugby union, different from American football and the flag football. By and large, they're trying to consolidate on their success so far. They are not yet a full member of the World Rugby Association, and that is where they are heading to, which, by the grace of God, after this successful outing, they would be considered positively for full membership. Now, that is when you now start seeing positive development coming in terms of support from their international body, and you get to have more of rugby league activities in Nigeria. We're looking at, they just hinted me that very soon they'll be going for another competition in Ghana, which will involve the United States, a team from the United States. Nigeria is a tri-nation kind of a thing, Ghana, US, and then Nigeria. And this is to actually shore up their rating on the world stage in terms of rugby league. So we're very excited with their performances. We believe that they should now, going forward, they should leverage on the goodwill of Nigerians. They've actually made Nigerians know more about rugby with this outing. Our girls have been fantastic. Most of them came also from the union, and we just believe in also that the union will also wake up and also start performing on that level, so that the overall game generally in Nigeria would be something of delight for everybody. Nigerians are well suited for the overall games. It's to do with running, intelligence, tight stepping. We do this every day of our lives, running, chasing the bus, and our intelligence in terms of business argument. So we're quite suited for the game of rugby and the overall game. And I look forward to more Nigerians getting involved. We need to get into schools and catch them young and start building a culture, through that ranks.
Before I let you go, Mr. Rockby, let's look at one indices. It would be the question that I have to bring in this direction would be now what the team Rockby really did differently this time out to have the result that they had getting there. And secondly, when you talk about development of rugby in the country, what are the biggest challenges that we face in terms of developing rugby in this country?
Like I said earlier on, we need to get down to the grassroots. Schools rugby is the best for us to do right now. We've been doing it, but we need to invest heavily in schools rugby. Wherever you have rugby activities, they should go down the ladder into the schools. Thank God that we have the under 15 youth games, which is like the national games for children in schools, and rugby is medal winning for both boys and girls. The second thing is actually proper administration and sponsorship. Now, that is the necessary funding. Funding has always been our bane, and you can't get funding if you don't have the right people managing the sports for you. Accountability, transparency, and the ability to carry everybody along is what the sponsors and the fans out there will be looking out for. We're starting to generate good fan base, and that should be a big plus for us. So we need to just build on this and going forward.
All right, Mr. Rockby and Tennessee Williams, thank you. Good perspective there regarding the conversation in the world of rugby and the growth of rugby in the country. Thank you very much for being a part of the conversation this morning. But having funny tonight, really, let's get to talk about the world of tennis before we then talk about Formula One and NBA, because exciting games taking place. Well, we're to David meeting with Carlos Alcaraz in Paris, just like Grigor Dimitrov had to pull away for Paris winning first match since Wimbledon injury. The likes of Kachanov also progressing to the next round of the competition, just like we talk about Fenley continuing Britain's woes with loss to Rublev. Well, in the ranking watch, the story is all about Lee Noskova reaching new career highs in that direction. While in Hong Kong Open, Mboko had to withstand stain test from Gibson in Hong Kong Open, and the likes of Kenny also suffering upset to Sakatsume in straight sets. Is that conversation? Well, I know it's a whole lot of lists to talk about, but let's just center on the Paris Open. Well, the biggest one now would be Dimitrov returning with a victory, a big bang since Wimbledon injury, and we get to talk about the very fact that Cameron Norrie, a British international, we've talked about a slow build-up for him, would be facing Carlos Alcaraz. It could be the end of the road for him.
Well, I think I'm quite excited. This happens to be the last 1,000 Masters for the year. From here, we should be talking about the ATP finals. So it is my delight to look at the very fact that so many top names are right here. Cameron Norrie, a little bit here in terms of quality, and then we're talking about the British contingent. Daniel Medvedev off the back of winning the title after a long period of time. So he's finally in the 1,000 Masters event. I want to see how far he can go. Carlos Alcaraz is here. The likes of Yannick Sinner and the rest of them. I'm looking forward to, of course, how things shape up, particularly before we have the ATP finals. But I'm quite glad that expected names are taking part in the ATP 1000 Masters.
Well, the big superstars taking part in the 1000 Masters and the ATP rankings. Well, quickly we'll look at a bit of Formula One, what's been happening. We hear the likes of Norrie has dominated in Mexico, taking championship lead. And fun will put side by side with the world of NBA, just like the Celtics in their first victory by beating the Pelicans. Numbers 122-90, and we're talking about the Thunder showing class and dominance, registering a fourth straight victory of beating the Mavericks 101-94. Just like the man Reeves dropping 41 points despite Lakers of falling to Trail Blazers, and the Warriors had to outclass the Grizzlies for a third win of the season. Funny to know what's standing out for you in the world of NBA.
We're here. We talked about Oscar Piastri. He was the leading championship driver. But about it, I said it was going to happen because he's been having difficulties. About it, I said it was going to happen because he's been having difficulties in recent times, and that happened at the Mexican Grand Prix.
It doesn't seem to affect the franchise anymore.
Well, I think he would be disappointed for the inconsistency. What's the reason for the inconsistency? He started quite strongly, and now he's fading off. So, very surprising. In the NBA, we have the Thunder starting off from where they left last season. 4 straight victories for them. They are the only side who've done that this season. So it almost looks as if more team-oriented instead of individual-oriented. So, but now it's still not working.
Well, not too surprising for the LA Lakers. Past 2 seasons have been a similar story, but the very fact that from a franchise point of view, we brought in one of the best players in the NBA last season, and thinking from the Dallas Mavericks, I think it's going to change the narrative for them. Injury left, right, and center for them. But at the end of it, it's a long season. We can wait and see what will happen at the end of the season. And now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, it will be football stories all around the world and the anticipation in the world of football. Well, part of a conversation would be the Under-17 World Cup, as the Flamingos will battle Italy for World Cup quarterfinal spots. Don't go anywhere. The conversation continues after now. Having funny thing I sealed me for company going nowhere. And now we got to talk about football stories around the world and football. Here we go. Well, first in the conversation would be about the World Cup. The Under-17 World Cup taking place. The Flamingos of Nigeria, the women's team, Under-17 women's team, qualifying as the best loser, but now they're facing an Italian side in this competition. Italy were quite dominant in the group stages of the World Cup qualifier, 6-0. And now they're facing Nigeria, a top striker for Italy, being the highest goal scorer at the competition, 5 goals now. This Nigerian side barely are able to score goals. A big concern. They were able to beat Samoa in the last game, 4-0, the best position competition we can talk about for them, but Samoa, the whipping girls of the tournament, and now they face Italy. What are we anticipating for Nitina?
Well, I would say first of all, I think it's going to be the same thing that happened to the under-20 side. Very, very poor in the tournament and managed to squeeze themselves into the next round of the competition, knockout phases. And what happened? They met Brazil. Argentina rather, and they were beaten black and blue. It's the same thing that's going to happen to the Flamingos. They are not good. We've seen them. The first match they lost 4-1 to Canada. Second match they were a little bit compact at the back against I talked about France, and they lost by a goal to nil. And now the third game against Samoa, arguably the whipping girls in the group, so they're always bound to get the result there. But now against Italy, a side who've won 3 straight matches, there's something about confidence. The Italians now have momentum on the side. They have confidence. They know we can beat Nigeria. Nigeria just managed to win 1 match and progress as one of the best third-place teams. So I think Italy has more momentum heading to this game, and we might just see Italy getting the.
Well, Toby Davis, sometimes we've gotten to tournament, the team comes from being a best loser, and a qualified group. It's possibility of that happening in this one, considering Nigeria is one of African teams and the tournament at the moment. We still have Zambia as well as Morocco, the host, being part of it. But Nigeria, Italy, any shockers here?
Well, I think I won't totally look off, Flamingos and the threats they can actually pose. Yeah, one would say they actually played against Samoa, the whooping girls in that group, and that was why they actually qualified to the last 16. But then you also look at the very fact that on the other hand, it could also be a moral boost for the ladies, and they get confidence first in Italy, irrespective of what happened to Italy at the group stage where they dominated, finished,
Flamingos have not had what I call a steady progress. First game they lost 4-1. It's going to be reduced to 1-0. The next game they won 4-0. So sign of progress for them.
A sign of progress, but I don't know, a time far gone. We have to squeeze in maybe the next 5 minutes and get the numbers correct. The Super Falcons are eyeing a qualification and decisive Benin clash today. A game take place at the MK Abiola Stadium in Nigeria. Abeokuta, we're talking about. The first leg was in Lome. The Super Falcons got a victory over the Benin girls at 2-0. It was about a talking point. Over 20 countries have turned down friendly game offer from Morocco, which were David, why?
Well, I think there have been concerns about logistical issues, particularly for some nations who will be participating at the AFCON. First of all, Morocco, if they approach you as a nation, they would want you to come play the Franco. So national teams are actually looking at the concerns of having to spend money to travel to Morocco. But I think it's at the advantage because you are playing at the city where, or the nation where the AFCON will be hosted in December. So
probably means you have to stay longer in Morocco. If you have to go play a friendly match and stock there. Otherwise you have to come back and then go back to Morocco.
I do not know exactly, it depends on the date where this friendly matches will be fixed ahead of the AFCON. So I think for me, it doesn't really make any sense that nations are coming out to complain about logistical issues. I mean, Morocco are the host nation of the AFCON. So if you play one preparatory game ahead of the AFCON in Morocco, it's also to your advantage.
Well,
and then we're also talking about, money is an issue, but going to the AFCON, they have improved funding. So you also get money as well as also participants of the AFCON.
We're about making a second point.
I'm also talking about the very fact that if you play in Morocco, you get an advantage because that's where the AFCON will be staged. So I see no reason why nations will be giving such excuses.
All right, many of the FAs of this nation really know their pocket and they're looking at the pocket and say, come on, we'll still get to Morocco and we'll get to do all of this now. A quick talking point would be the Turkish Super League. We're talking about Super Eagles Attacker clinching the goal of the month. Mfonitina discuss.
Well, I think in the Turkish league, we had a lot of Nigerians doing well this season. Paul
Onacho,
Victor Osimhen, talking about what's his name now, Wilfred Ndidi as well. So it's not going to be surprising. But Nigerians have always had a very, very smooth sails in the Turkish league. Talking about Paul Onacho, he's won the highest goal scorer award in the Turkish league before.
Yeah,
so, I think it's just
the second coming for him at Trabzonspor. Maybe I think last month he won the best goal of the league.
Yeah, was awarded this week.
Absolutely.
Also, he was nominated for the Pusk when he was in Trabzonspor in his first season. So I think the Turkish league is just very favorable for Nigerians. I need to see more Nigerians moving to the Turkish league.
Well, talking about the Turkish league, I have to skip still continue with the Turkish league. There are hundreds of Turkish officials found with betting accounts. I was trying to get the details of that numbers because it was staggering numbers. I think I can still get
300.
Were you talking about 300, more than 300 last time I checked? But a conversation is, according to statistical report that's coming out from Turkey, that lots of Turkish officials, and I hear about up to 7 or 12 of them, and that are in the Super League itself. But if you look at the tier ranking of the Turkish league, over 150 referees that are caught in the web. One particular referee, that one got me annoyed. I played over 18,000 games, and these referees are officiating in the Turkish league. Quite a bad brand outcome for the Turkish league.
God bless Jose Mourinho, because he was the one who started this revolution, and it looked like the man is actually chaotic in his, normal behavior.
Right.
He's just speaking.
I just put the statistic correct.
Okay.
So a 5-year investigation found that 371 of 571 match officials have accounts.
That's more than 60%.
152 of those actively gambling.
That's more than 60% of referees. Little wonder why we
were talking about the FA betting. Well, come on, Turkey beats Nigeria.
Absolutely. Not as bad as a
Well, I just look at another number. While some had only bait once, so there were referees that they just said everyone is baiting. Maybe I just try a report that's coming. With one official found to have placed 18,227 bets. God.
Well, it shows that
do they even have regulations in the Turkish league? That's another question.
That's the thing. It shows that the rot is not just from at the bottom; it's from top to bottom.
Yeah.
In the English league, anyone that bets will get found out very quickly. If you're gonna get found out, that's just the thing.
I think the rates won't be alarming.
It would. It can be, definitely. Well, it's just something for the books when it has to do with football. When you know now you play in Turkey, and now the world will be looking at Victor Osimhen goals and saying, "Come on, bro." The referee maybe adding Galatasaray, Well, just before we get a close, Real Madrid Dani Carvajal is in need of another knee surgery. We hear. Remember, I had a knee surgery before. I call it a stabilizing surgery for him. Well, Napoli's Kevin De Bruyne is likely out till 2026 after a thigh injury. That conversation. And well, yesterday was making rounds. Juve sacking manager Igor Tudor after 7 months. Not so good. Terrible performance for them. Here in the last 8 games I've played, definitely won any match. 4 draws, and the other one losses are quite not good.
Shouldn't have sacked Thiago Motta. I think Thiago Motta was doing a good job. Was just drawing quite a number of games, but he didn't.
It wasn't good enough.
Lost in 22 matches, he lost to the eventual champions. How was that a bad record?
And when you're drawing too much. Juventus is not a club that draws a lot of games, especially in Serie A. And maybe they have to look for who gets to do it. Well, hundreds. Brendan Rodgers resigns as a Celtic manager. Well, I didn't see this coming, but that
back and forth with the owner of the club.
Yeah, back and forth. Well, they lost against Hearts, and that 8 points behind Hearts. Martin O'Neill, Sean Maloney taking interim charge of the club.
My only concern would be Kelechi Iheanacho, because Brendan Rodgers brought him to that club.
Yeah.
So I do not know.
And there were conversations. Brendan Rodgers said that the board kind of forced him on signings.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kelechi Iheanacho is among those he was forced to sign.
He made effort to bring Kelechi to the club.
He's saying so. Kelechi was more like a makeshift situation for him. Well, we have to draw the curtains here. A time fast spent. Tomorrow is another day we'll talk about for the details of all the talking points in the world of sports. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you guys for being a part of it. To everyone that made it happen, thank you very much. Tomorrow is another day. My name is Blyden Kim, and we say bye-bye.